oldest form of motorcycle competition in the United States is AMA flat track racing. And every March, racers prepare for a new season and the first race of the championship. Everyone wants that first win of the year. But this is not just the first race, it's Daytona. There is something very special about winning here. You instantly become part of American motorcycle racing history. The short track at Daytona kicks off the 2013 season of the AMA Pro Flat Track Championship. History continues as the season starts now. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway, where on the outside of the famed high banks of NASCAR's Turn 1 and 2 now lies the Daytona Flat Track. And it is here where the opening 2 rounds of the AMA Pro Flat Track Grand National Championship will unfold with rounds 1 and 2 of the Daytona Short Track. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer and welcome to this legendary speedway, and I am with a legendary short track racer. It is Chris Carr, 7-time Grand National Champion, and it's got to be very special. These guys are getting ready to tear it up here at Daytona on this very special short track.
It really is, Greg. For many years, we've raced in Daytona. Now we're racing at Daytona. These guys want to get their first victory at Daytona tonight.
And of course, there's the intensity of wanting to win at Daytona has produced some interesting racing. In fact, there's repercussions leading into the opening rounds this year of what unfolded particularly in round 2 last year, Chris.
Yeah, guys are going to throw everything on the line to get a victory here tonight. As we see the 9 and the 10 from a year ago, Jared Mees, John Lewis. John Lewis gets a good run. Stalked Jared for 24.5 laps, makes it pass. These longtime rivals that were friends as kids, I mean, took them out trying to get a chance to win the victory here, and they put a friendship on the line, and it hasn't recovered since.
And not only did it cost him the win, it cost him even second spot. And of course, it's intense. These guys were pretty upset afterwards, and what we decided to do was check in and see how they're looking at it this year.
You know, it's Daytona, and everybody comes out here wanting to win. And more than anything, I've struggled here in years past. And to go out there and lead that thing for 24.5 laps, I wasn't going to go down without, I guess, a fight, you could say. And, you know, I ran it up underneath of him. And if you remember correctly, the groove was so small and narrow, there was room for one motorcycle. And Johnny nor myself wanted to give, and I don't blame him, and I don't blame myself. And, you know, he started losing the front, and down he went. So, I mean, you know, it's tough because Johnny and I were such good friends off the racetrack, and that move definitely damaged that. But it's racing, and I'd rather have championships and race wins, I guess, more than friends. I guess I'm a little selfish that way.
People go for things, they, you know, brain kind of clogs up, and they just went for it. And yeah, it was unfortunate, it took me down, and luckily I was able to still recover and finish 8th. But I had a nice little donut to bring it back to the finish line. But yeah, it just it sucked the way it happened, and just the way the friendship just hasn't came back yet. It just it's one of them deals where wrong situation, and I don't know. It's a shame, but you know, it's a new year and moving forward.
And Chris, what is it about Daytona that makes riders race at that level of intensity?
Well, you come to the Daytona 500, it's the toughest race to win. You come to the Daytona Supercross, it's the toughest Supercross to win. You come to the Daytona Flat Track, and many times you're willing to throw friendships on the line in order to get a victory here. That's how much it means to these guys. Winning here is not easy, and they'll do what it takes to get their victory.
And they certainly did. Now, keep in mind, this is round 2 we'll be bringing you tonight, but last night, round 1 unfolded with some superb racing, and we're going to take you back and show you some highlights. Jeff Carver was the top qualifier, but he ended up, after the heats and the semis, back in the pack. There you saw number 1, reigning national champ, Mr. Mees. But at the launch, watch Jared Mees getting a great hole shot, Chris.
Yeah, great start. It's a good start to the year. Track position's real important here, but he holds on to it for about a lap, and as Brad Baker elbows his way by, the track very treacherous. We see Jethro Halbert going down here, kind of brings out a red flag, and we reset the field, pick up basically where we left off. And you know, Brad Baker was running a great race up front, but coming from the second row, the 54 of Mikey Rush, First rider, I believe, to win this race from the second row. Marches forward, takes the lead with about 6 laps to go, and stretches it off to a victory over Brad Baker. Great run for him, his second victory in Daytona, but his first at Daytona.
And Mees bringing it home in third, and you can see how elated Mikey Rush was. Absolutely overjoyed by how that one unfolded, and celebrating mightily, and with good reason to be sure.
Oh man, I was just, Brad was running a hell of a race. He's just smooth as silk, and I was just watching and waiting for a mistake, and he wasn't making any, so I just put pressure on, and I think I can get him, so I just put my head down and charged, and I made the pass, and it was stuck. I didn't even know I was leading the thing. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, he earned that one to be sure. Now, let's get to the track surface itself. You know, this track can change from the afternoon to the dark of night, but it can change from one day to the other. Greg White, what are we looking at from this track right now?
Well, Greg, it's Daytona, and like Chris Carr mentioned, this surface is completely unpredictable. But what AMA Pro did is, after watching the race from yesterday and noticing the ruts on the extreme outside edge of the racetrack, is they said, today we're going to leave the straightaways hard packed all day long and create a blue groove so riders have a visual cue on where the traction is. But in the corners, we're going to add a lot more moisture, and that means that there's not a lot of traction. The key to this race, throttle management.
And it's interesting, taking a look at it. You call it sometimes moon dirt. This is unique stuff.
Well, we are close to Port Canaveral, and many of us have joked for years that Neil Armstrong brought back a sample from the moon, and they figured out a way to replicate it here at the Daytona Flat Track.
Here's what our format's going to be tonight. There's going to be 3 heat races, 16 riders per, 10 laps, top 4 to the main, the rest go to the semi. The dash for cash, it's all about bonus points and a nice chunk of change if you win it. Then 2 semi races for those that didn't make it right to the final, top 3 to the main, and the expert main event, 18 riders going at it for 25 laps. So that sets the stage for what's going to unfold tonight, and we kick it off with Heat 1 of our AMA Pro Flat Track Grand National Championship. And Chris, this is going to be exciting because it's a bit of a rematch from what happened in the final last night.
Yeah, second place finisher Brad Baker, fast qualifier today, lined up next to him. The 54 of Mikey Rush, last night's winner. These guys went 1-2 a night before. Let's see if they can go 1-2 in this heat race and get a direct transfer to the dash for cash.
And there's the launch. Let's watch as they go. Beautiful start by Rush coming from the outside.
And
the
Rush
42 is
spins it around
we got
backwards.
one down, and he takes out Jake Johnson.
Takes out Johnson with him. I have a feeling we're going to see a red on this, but man, that tough break for our last night's winner.
Yeah, boy, he went down, and
he's a stinger.
Yeah, big time. He's getting up, and he's gimpy coming up, and they can't get the bike moved, so we are going to go red. And boy, you know, it's amazing how quick it can change. Glory one night, and then this happening right off the bat.
Hey, nothing makes you feel worse than going from 0 to 0 in about a half a lap. So hopefully Mikey can get this thing going. He's going to have to restart from the back of the field. Hopefully he can come to grips with the racetrack. It's certainly a lot slicker than it's been all day.
What about Jake Johnson, number 5? He was involved in that, and he went down as a result. Does he go to the back as well?
He will go to the back as well. Under rules, any rider that goes down will have to restart at the back of the grid.
And in that second row that he lined up on the inside is a very hungry number 10, Johnny Lewis. Remember what happened last year?
Yeah, Johnny Lewis, I'm sure he wants a little bit of redemption tonight. Coming from the second row. Tonight, probably not such a bad thing. You know, I've said in the past that it's very difficult to win these races from the second row, but this track is really slippery. He's a tall kid, he's got a lot of leverage, and I think he'll be able to use that to his advantage here tonight.
Now, what does this do to the guy's mindset? They've been waiting since qualifying, and which happened earlier in the afternoon. Now they're all geared up. They let go. They're tearing it up, and boom, red flag right away.
Well, they're professional racers. Yeah. They've been around this game for a while. Jake Johnson here is a former Grand National champion twice. He's just going to have to dig deep, and guys with single digits dig deep when they need to.
And that's one of the things that, you know, we've talked about it. You've certainly mentioned it to me off air a little bit, is that sometimes if you finish outside of that top 4, it's almost sometimes a little bit better than finishing 3rd or 4th in that heat, because you get to see the track again.
Well, the track conditions are going to change a lot. They've had a couple of heat races on the Pro Singles division already. track's getting polished off. It's much slicker than it's been all day long. I'm sure these guys are going to be a little more gentle getting into the corner the first time. They're on a totally new racetrack. Whatever setups they had earlier in the day aren't working now. They're going to have to adjust how they ride the bike in order to navigate this racetrack.
And seeing that track one more time, not necessarily a bad. You want to get the transfer, obviously, because you don't want to run the risk of not making it at all through that packed semifinal. So that's the upside, but you want to get out there. So we're going to have to do it all again. And Baker is going to line it up, but he's going to have a pretty open lane for him at this point. You can see the number 10 of Lewis behind him. There is the 43P. That's Carter on the Honda, and the rest of the pack lining up with him.
Interesting side story in this heat race. The 10 of Johnny Lewis and the 5 of Jake Johnson, believe it or not, are brothers-in-law.
Oh, really?
And it's really cool. One's a 5 and one's a 10. And Jake here is married to Johnny's younger sister. And these guys are here. They're going to possibly be rubbing elbows going around the racetrack. So hopefully they won't run into each other and have difficulties at the holidays.
Yeah, relatives off track, warriors on it. That's how that plays out. Again, as you said, when you're running a single-digit plate.
There's one thing to have bragging rights, but when it's within the family, it's even more important.
All right, so we get to do it all over again. Number 12, your top qualifier, Baker, looking at those lights. Bauman, and we go again.
See if they can get through the corner this time. A little smoother. Brian Smith, the 42 out front. Baker getting a good drive up the inside. Hoping to push it up underneath as he does into turn 3. Now, Brian Smith has struggled a little bit here in Daytona. Finished, I believe, 18th last night. Not a great showing for him. Much better start to the evening tonight.
And Briar Bauman sitting right there in third. That number 14 moving, make that second. Nice move by Bauman as he picks up that spot. And remember, the top 4 transfer automatically into the main here. So Lewis, right now, that number 10 is hanging on to it, and he's got a little bit of breathing room back to that group chasing.
The 5 coming up from behind. He sticks out pretty good on the outside, coming from essentially the 4th row up to 6th already, moving forward as Baker starts to stretch it out just a little bit. You know, this young 14 here, Briar Bauman, 18 years old from Salinas, California, is a really, really good, smooth short track racer, up and coming talent. Kind of settled in a little bit. Let's see if he can move back forward on the veteran of the 42 and Brian Smith.
And guess who's up into 5th? Number 5, Jake Johnson. He is coming.
Yeah, his brother-in-law's next. Let's see if he can get up there and mix it up with him. They're halfway through this one. 5 to go. These guys are trying to manage the throttle, as Greg alluded to early. Get the bike moving forward.
Here comes Jake, number 5. This is key because he is one spot out of that transfer. He would end up in the semi right now. So he's trying to twist it as they get the signal. Just past halfway now and continuing to lead this one. Very strong run by Baker.
Well, the one thing about the track being as slippery as it is right now, we saw Jake get by a bunch of guys, but now they're getting faster as you get forward. And this type of track is a very difficult track to make up time. As you can see, he's not really making much more progress. The guys up front have been going good all day long. This is where it gets tougher on him. But he's most likely going to be set up good for a good starting position in the semifinal.
It's not like Johnny Lewis is a slouch.
No, not at all.
An easy catch, that's for sure.
He won on night 1 here a year ago and was, you know, a quarter of a lap away from winning on night 2. So certainly Jake's got his work cut out to run him down.
Lewis really putting some serious pressure on the 42 of Brian Smith here, trying to pick up that little bit of a buffer, if you will.
We saw the 14 of Bauman kind of go off the edge of the track and try to move forward and get some forward bite down the back straightaway. You know, not only these guys spinning really hard on this this limestone surface, but even through the turns, but in the straightaways they're spinning as well. The bike just really doesn't want to move forward all that well. So there are times where they'll be chasing the dirt around trying to get some grip.
Last lap, we're at it right now. You talk about, one of the things you say is when you're with lean angle, you want to get that thing straightened up and driving.
Well, these motocross bikes aren't really designed for this purpose. They're a stock chassis, much like you would see in the Daytona Supercross. They've modified the suspension, lowered a little bit, but they're not designed to go sideways like this. They're designed for the triple jumps.
And Baker comes through with the win. The 42 of Smith second, the 14 of Breyer Bauman. That's an impressive run as he comes through in third. And the 10 of Lewis is coming through and making that auto transfer. And number 5, Jake Johnson, couldn't quite make it work. He is going to be going to the semifinal.
Yeah, interesting thing too, our pole sitter, Mikey Rush. Difficult run for him, only 9th in that heat race from the 4th row. Jake Johnson, who went down with him, made it up to 5th, so he's got some work to do.
Got some work to do, but Baker, Smith, Bauman, Lewis, they are going to the final, and the top 2 of those will be going to the Dash for Cash. We got a lot more coming from the AMA Pro Flat Track. Stay with us. Speed's coverage of AMA Grand National Flat Track from Daytona is brought to you by Progressive Insurance, #1 in motorcycle insurance, and by Yamaha. Yamaha is the first name in motorsports. Welcome back, everybody. We are ready for heat race number 2. As a matter of fact, this will be a restart, and you'll note that a couple of the riders sitting in the back row, quickest qualifier in this heat, Jeff Carver and John Wood, the number 88. They got involved in the first restart, came together, went down, and as a result, Chris, they start at the back.
Yeah, anytime a rider's caused for the red flag, they go to the back of the grid on a restart. The 23 of Carver here, pole sitter in this heat race. Not a good way to start the night. You know, this is the second pole sitter in a row having to start from the 4th row. Let's see if he'll have a little bit better luck than our first heat race pole sitter, Mikey Rush.
Jared Mees had some wickedly good starts here last night, so we'll see. And second, got a wave off.
Got a little issue. Somebody either creeped across the line or stalled their motor.
Looks like the 58 at Carpinello trying to get that bike restarted.
You know, when these things get hot nowadays with the fuel injection on them, it's much more difficult to restart them. We see that a lot in the Supercross, guys that go down and they sit there and kick it for 20 minutes before they get it going. But he got this thing going pretty quick, and here we go, getting ready for green again.
All right, number 1, the reigning national champ, Jared Mees. Next to him, 17 of Wiles, 27. Robert Pearson, and here we go, and Mees shutting the door, picks up the lead.
Well, there's 4 hole shots over the last 2 nights. The number 1 out front. Not only is that number 1 mean you're the champion, but it's also doubles as a bullseye for these guys behind him. And Henry Wiles is a fantastic singles rider. He's won singles motorcycle championships before. He would like nothing better than to get in front of Jared right now and march on to victory in this heat race.
27 Pearson slots into that 3rd spot, but he has some serious company.
The
hard
80,
astern, yeah.
The 80 of Stevie Bonzi behind him. He won a couple nationals in his career. One in Calistoga and one in Tucson, Arizona last season. So and he wants to move forward and get his name in the Daytona victory books.
Now, you don't have a lot of time in a 10-lap heat to be able to get out there and suss things out. You've got to be on the wick, and you've got to be on it now.
Yes, you do. These heat races will last about 3 minutes. So if you're struggling, you're going to go backward in a hurry. As we see Jared stretch it out a little bit over the 17 of Wiles. Pearson wanting to get up there and apply a little bit of pressure, get that spot in the dash for cash. And all importantly, the front row in the main event, too.
Yeah, I love that angle on that camera, too. You can really get the feel for these guys getting it down. That battle for 4th in that final transfer spot starting to heat up. The number 91 is coming, and he has closed it up big time.
Yeah, Mikey Martin, you saw him enter the corners a little wider in what we would call a little bit of the cushion up where it's not quite as polished off. Gets it through the middle. He stays high that time, but then he turns, crosses the rubber, and tries to get down underneath it. A lot of times trying to find that fuzzy dirt will give you a little bit of forward bite. Seems to be making it work. But sometimes you get hung out too far, too wide, you don't really make up ground. When he got it turned earlier, it worked good, but he's carrying
nice
a lot more
there.
mid-corner speed, but not quite the drive off the corner. But I'll give him an A for effort. He's trying to put this sucker in the National, and Stevie Bonzi is the victim. It looks like it goes around on the outside as Wiles is applying some pressure to the number 1, runs it up the inside. makes a good clean move up the inside on Jared Mees. This thing's tightening up with 3 to go.
It's great racing, obviously, and let's see. Indeed, that is the number 91 Martin now up into that final transfer spot. Question is, what can the 80 Abansi do to retaliate? Martin actually has gapped him by a couple of bike lengths at this point, and there's a little bit of a margin up to our third place rider right now, Pearson.
Yeah, Pearson, having seen Jared Mees get passed by Wiles, he's got to be chomping at the bit, starting to apply pressure to the one. Looks like Jared struggling a little bit here on this last lap. May fall prey to an aggressive move here going into turn 3 on the last lap.
And you're thinking, what's the point? Top 4 transfer, but the top 2 go to the dash for cash, and there's money, but there's points.
Yeah, points, all important points. I think the points mean more for Jared Mees than the money, to be honest with you. As Pearson tries to get a run up the inside, loses the drive just a little bit. Mees holds on to the all-important position in the dash as well as the front row of the main event.
And Mike Martin never gave up, fought hard, and comes up to get that last transfer spot. And Henry Wiles giving the crowd a little bit of a show here.
Good run by Wiles.
Yeah.
I tell you, last year here, both nights he struggled, finished outside the top 10 both nights. And here he is getting a victory, finishing 4th last night. A great start to the year for him.
There you see the unofficial results. In the top 4, you see the line. They go right into the final. The rest go to the semifinals. That'll be coming up in just a little bit. And we still have one more heat to go. The last 4 to get the auto transfer into the final coming up here on Speed in just a little bit. Stay with us. We'll be right back to the flat track at Daytona. Welcome back, everybody. Saturday, the Rough Riders of Supercross are going to be waging war on Canadian soil. The championship is still up for grabs, and with each race, the battles are tighter than ever. Monster Energy Supercross live from Toronto, Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, only on Speed. And we are ready for flat track here on Speed. This is heat number 3, and this one is heavy. Brandon Robinson, the 20 of Weidman. You've got Kenny Coolbeth in the 2nd row. That means it's a heavy heat.
Tough night so far for Kenny Coolbeth, but gets a good run up the inside, nursing a bit of a sore ankle when Jethro Halbert, the 69, went down in the main event. As we have the 71 of Donald Mullen goes down, but gets it right back up. We're going to stay green on this one, I imagine. But Coolbeth nursing a sore ankle, didn't go down when Halbert did, but he flat ran him over and sprained his ankle. So little tender for him tonight. We'll see if that causes any problems for him. But running up the inside to Halbert says, hey, I want to get ahead of you tonight. I don't want to see you go down in front of me again. But Coolbeth really moving forward, putting a lot of pressure on the 20. Weidman here was the recipient last year of the dust-up between Mees and Johnny Lewis. So he's back on form, but wow, this is the best Coolbeth has looked all weekend. Moving forward. I guess he's feeling no pain in that left ankle tonight.
And he's got to be appreciating, although this track is certainly slicker than it was last night, it's smoother than it was last night. And apparently that's not going to do that ankle any harm at this stage. Look at this battle for 3rd as Jethro trying to get up underneath Weidman. No, not there.
Well, the Halbert brothers are not afraid to run it up the inside of somebody as the 69 runs up really close to Weidman. Gets, I mean, those guys could have checked each other. Look at that.
Nice.
Slide job there. Looks back. Weidman coming back underneath. Great action as Coolbeth inches a little bit forward on our leader, Brandon Robinson.
You mentioned the Halberts, and there's one that's noticeably absent.
Yeah, Sammy, the younger brother of Jethro, winner of 3 races here at the new Daytona Flat Track, is out with a torn ACL from a practice accident 6 weeks ago at a local track in Puyallup, Washington. So hopefully a speedy recovery for Sammy, and he'll be back at our next rounds later in the season.
It's not quite the same without slamming Sammy on a short track.
He certainly livens up any program, that's for sure. The 44, really smooth. Looks like the track's starting to get a little bit of grip. The blue that's forming at the exits of the corners is getting a little grippier, but it's still a little gray through the entrance and through the middle of the corner. As we have 2 laps to go. Coolbeth not making much more progress on this.
Yeah, he closed right up on the back of Robinson, and then it was as if Robinson found another gear. He found a little extra grip out there, and it's working.
But I tell you, small mistakes here make for big losses of track position. And Coolbeth is not going to give up. He's going to do everything he can to get up there, but I'm sure he's not going to put his position on the front row and in the dash for cash up for jeopardy.
Yeah, he's there, and he knows if he's looked back just once that he's got a little bit of breathing room. So here we go. Brandon Robinson, so impressive yesterday in terms of speed, puts a win in the books in the heat. Coolbeth slots through in second, Hallberg third, and Weidman fourth. That was a great ride, and those four showed it as they opened it up over the rest of this field.
Yeah, the 44, Brandon Robinson, sat on the pole last night for last night's race. Didn't have a great finish, although fifth at Daytona is a pretty good start, his best finish ever. But some of the standards and some of the other riders, you know, they'll take fifth.
And there's the top four moving on. Chad COSE and the rest, they are going to end up going to the semifinals. That'll be coming up in just a little bit. The crowd enjoying some great racing here. This track is slick quick tonight. It's going to be fun. And when we come back, the dash for cash awaits. A nice check, but more importantly, points. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Want to remind you, April 4th on Speed, Barrett-Jackson, the world's greatest collector car auction, sizzles in the Sunshine State. See the most amazing cars all in one place and all up for grabs. Barrett-Jackson, Palm Beach. Of course, exclusive live coverage begins April 4th at 2 Eastern, only on Speed. It is time for our Dash for Cash. Again, big money on the line, but more importantly, points on the line. To the inside, top qualifier, Brad Baker and Robinson alongside, then Wiles, then Coolbeth, and here we go. Check that, it's 42 Smith, Coolbeth on the far outside, and then Mees.
Great start by Wiles, but up the inside, Brad Baker squeezes it underneath him and set sail, hopefully up for himself on this one. Good first lap for him. Creates a little bit of separation, a little bit of breathing room.
Brandon Robinson in that second spot. Look at Coolbeth trying to work the outside of Wiles.
We saw Coolbeth using some alternate lines in the heat race moving forward. Let's see if he can make that work again here in the dash.
He got out wide that time, and Wiles a little bit tighter inside, able to pick it up. But again, Coolbeth swinging that back end out, staying up on the cushion. But Wiles did a little bit better drive. Halfway already.
You bet. The 44 of Robinson swallowed that breathing room of Baker's right up. Here with a lap and a half to go, wanting to put some pressure on him. Let's see if he can squeeze up the inside. Oh, gets a big look. Get a good run there, trying to get back on the seat. A little bit of slip there under acceleration. You know, the slightest bobble by the 12, Brandon Robinson's going to pounce on. Oh, as he gets up the inside, doesn't quite make contact, but one little bobble by the 12, and it's over.
Well, Baker onto the chute, coming out. He gets the win. Robinson said, Coolbeth. Coolbeth swung around on the outside. He made that work and picked up that third spot over the 17 of Wiles. And you know, Brad Baker came into this Dash for Cash second in points after last night. Mikey Rush, the winner, had the points lead, but Mikey was not in this. And that man, Brad Baker, celebrating because he has now picked up the point lead. So nice job by him. Now, coming up right now, let's take a look at highlights from our first semi. And again, the top three here are going to advance, and it's Jake Johnson down to the inside.
Good
and
start
he got
by
a
the
good
5.
launch.
Good start by the 5 up the inside. Getting a good run off turn 2, trying to set sail early on. Great battle for position here between the 80 of Stevie Bonzi and Cale Colkman. This is the battle for third, the last and final transfer position from this semi.
They put on a spectacular battle. Pass, repass, and the like. Johnson gets the win. He advances. So does 54 Rush. That's huge. And Bonzi just hanging on over Colkman.
Last night's winner improving over his get-off in the first heat race. Good comeback for him. We'll see if he can win from the third row tonight.
And now to our semi-pro number 2, off the line. And in this one, that guy that started third, the 88 at John Ron Wood, he got to the front. That was pretty it. Big off right here by Chad COSE, and he was shaken up a little bit, but they got the bike cleared, and we stayed green. And this was the best battle. It didn't last too long.
Yeah. John Ron Wood got out front, great short tracker from Pennsylvania. Part-time racer, comes to Daytona, puts it in the main event on night 2. Great job for him.
Jeff Carver in second and making his first final, Joe Hartridge. Congratulations to Joe, just a superb job. So that means our final is set. 25 laps, 18 riders going to be going at it, and this crowd is antsy. Something special might just happen. We will be back. What we're about to check out is 25 laps of Expert Main Racing, getting ready to go on this one. But we take a look at the AMA Pro Flat Track, and what are these guys looking at for a run around the 25 laps here in terms of the track surface? Well, let's check in with Greg White.
Tonight, the riders are telling me that this surface is like a billiard table smooth, but it's also slick. But one of the things that's really hard for the riders to see is when you go into the corners, there's these very narrow ruts, almost wavy-like. What happens is the front tire gets in one, the rear tire gets in the other. They can't keep the wheels in a line, and they're really sacrificing the drive. So it's all done by feel because the speeds at which they're carrying, they can't see these minor little ruts. Real tough for the riders tonight here in Daytona.
All right, and the riders are setting off on their warm-up lap, if you will, to bring it around, get those engines warmed up. Don't get to run. Don't have to worry about heating the front brakes.
No front brakes here in AMA Flat Track, but get a little heat in the tire. I know a lot of these guys have probably, especially the front row, as soon as they got done with the dash, they put the tires on tire warmers, get a little heat in them. That lengthy introduction that they had, they cool off a bit, so getting a little heat back in them is going to be a good thing for them.
Boy, this is one stacked front row. You've got top qualifier Baker on the pole. You've got Robinson, who's always a front runner here at the Daytona Flat Track. Former champ Henry Wiles, Smith, former champ Kenny Coolbeth, current champ Jared Mees. This one is going to be something.
Yeah, it's interesting that 12 of Baker picked the inside for the dash, and he's picked the opposite, the very outside, for the main event. The outside line is kind of developed. Maybe he thinks he can get a good run around the outside, keep his momentum going. Riders down on the inside have to turn much sharper initially into the turn. We'll see if that pays dividends for him here in the early stages of the race.
Now the number 44, as we're talking about Brandon Robinson, he's got to get it in there, clean it in front, slow everybody up. Yeah, it's about time. 25 laps, your main event, and we've got a checkup.
I'm not sure what's going on here. A little malfunction maybe with the light system. Give it a second here, they'll reset. Guys put the bikes in neutral so that it doesn't overheat the clutches. They shake out their goggles a little bit, get a little bit of the fog from the inside of them.
Longest race we've seen tonight, 10 laps. Now they're going 25.
2.5 times the distance. That's Kelly Bell, AMA official, sets a grid, tells these guys, hey guys, 25, get ready. Daytona
up on the pipe, 25 laps about to unfold, 18 to the final, and we go. And not a great start by Robinson, and a superb start.
And Coolbeth turns it early, goes underneath 4 guys along the inside through turns 1 and 2. He didn't get to the corner first, but he sure got out of it first, and Robinson moved up to second. A couple guys get together. Last year's winner, WEIDMAN, hooking handlebars with somebody there.
Another big slam right there.
42 and the 17 of Wiles, Smith and Wiles banging bars going into the corner, banging them coming off the
corner. Look at Robinson, down to the inside, trying to make the move on Coolbeth. He's got that inside move, but Coolbeth, good exit. Robinson, though, gets that inside, but Coolbeth not giving it up yet and shutting the door. This is what it's all about. Great action at the front.
You know, when the number 2 gets out front, he doesn't give it up very easy. Fighting back as hard as he can. We saw the 44 of Robinson really run it up hard on Baker as he completes the pass this time around. You know, this is about the 2nd time in Brandon Robbins' career that he's led an AMA Grand National Dirt Track. Last year, he led partially in the Indianapolis Mile and ultimately got 2nd. Let's see if he can finish the job tonight. Looking really good so far as the 12 of Baker starts to reel in Coolbeth here.
I was going to say, Baker has shown just tremendous speed all night. He's down and underneath Coolbeth. Coolbeth shutting the door.
Yeah, Coolbeth's not going to give him the position, but Baker kind of sneaks it up the inside, gets a good drive off the corner. I think if Coolbeth can get his bike turned a little earlier at the exit, he'll get a better drive, as in right here. But Baker's getting that thing pivoted through the apex much better, much quicker, getting the thing upright a little bit sooner. As the brothers-in-law, the 5 and the 10, rub elbows going into turn 3 for position, and the 42 of Brian Smith says, hey guys, battle it out, I'm coming along too.
This is a great story. The number 5 of Jake Johnson started back in the 3rd row, and he has fought his way right up to the sharp end of things. And coming with him is last night's winner, Mikey Rush.
Mikey Rush coming from the 3rd row as well, drops a couple positions there. But we're about 1/3 of the way through. Johnson definitely moving forward, but he's got a lot of track position to make up.
There's Johnson. That's a great story up into 4th. What a great job he is doing. It's currently Robinson still leading over Baker, Coolbeth 3rd, and Johnson now 4th. But as you point out, a little bit of a gap now to try and close up.
Yeah, these guys are going to start clicking the laps off. They've established the rhythm with the racetrack. The guys that are moving forward are going to move forward as quickly as possible now. They've, almost halfway through this. Time is of the essence. They got the 10 of Lewis here struggling. A minute ago, he was elbow to elbow with his brother-in-law. Now he's nearly a straightaway behind. So he's going in the wrong direction.
By the way, I saw a yellow flag being displayed right there and then.
Up
down
the inside.
he goes.
Wiles runs it up the inside of John Lewis and throws it on the ground. Remounts quickly, gets back in it.
Shaking his head, not happy with that. But as I said, a couple laps ago, I saw a yellow flag and was wondering what it was, and I think it's Mies.
Well, Mies with a did not start there, may not have completed the first lap. Not sure what happened to him.
Wood out as well. Here it is.
Replay of Wiles up the inside. Lewis pinches him off, really nowhere for Wiles to go, and elects to throw it on the ground. A little bit different decision than what Jared Mies made a year ago, going for the victory. But up front, Robinson with a 2 or 3 bike length lead here over Brad Baker. These guys have been fast all night long. They're both winners of their heat races. They were nose to tail in the dash. We got a rematch of the dash, essentially, but it's a 12-lap dash from this point on.
Yeah, and this is interesting because Jake Johnson is closed up. We got a 3-bike battle for the last step in the box. Coolbeth in front of the 42 of Smith and the 5 of Jake Johnson. This is it.
Yeah, Smith moving forward. Certainly one of his best performances so far here at the Daytona Flat Track. Slides it up the inside, got the thing turned early and just kind of squirted it and brings Jake Johnson with him. Coolbeth moving backwards now.
Coolbeth got forced out a little wider than the line he'd like to run. And Johnson, rider his caliber, he pounced.
Yes, he did. You leave the door open for one of these guys, they're gonna close it in a hurry. Johnson, 10 to go. This would be interesting. If Johnson can run down Smith, I believe he'll be the first person to put it in the top 3 from the 3rd row in this event.
And I think it seems just from history here, the track here, this is the smoothest, the quickest track we've seen, and that plays to certain guys' strength. And it looks like that groove is wide enough that you can run a couple of bikes wide and make something happen.
Every lap they go around, the track is getting a little bit more a little bit more traction, a little bit more grip. Robinson doing a great job here with Baker on his tail. So far, he's not succumbed to the pressure, but in reality, Baker hasn't gotten close enough to, put that shadow in his view.
He gets close.
He gets close, but not close enough. Robinson doing a good job, kind of what we call tiptoeing through the middle of the corner. The wheels aren't getting out of line that much. The bike is moving forward. It's not stepping out too far, not getting overly aggressive under acceleration. Just running a nice, smooth lead here at the front.
I was going to say, Robinson in a short track final is showing patience. That's pretty impressive.
Patience at the front is very, very important, as we see Mikey Rush starting to put pressure on Coolbeth for the 5th position. Another rider who got a second look at this racetrack via the semi, moving forward, trying to put a move on the former Grand National champion Kenny Coolbeth. As we see the lap times, the lap times are dropping. Early on, they were running in the high 18s. We just saw an 18-1 by one of the riders.
Track is getting faster every lap with 5 to go.
Clarification, we find out now Jared Mees is still in the race. He's currently 13th. He had a transponder problem, so he's still out there running. But John Wood is he's the one who was struggling and is well at the back.
May have been one of our riders went down, causing a yellow flag earlier. But best race on the track currently. Mikey Rush hasn't quite found a way by Coolbeth. Showing some patience, waiting for the little bit of slip. Coolbeth at this point sees the leaders getting away, has settled in, say, all right, if they're gonna go around me now, they're gonna have to go around the outside. Trying not to leave the door open. Rush tries to get a run up the inside, doesn't quite get enough grip as he gets off the inside of the rubber.
By the way, clarification, now we find out John Ron Wood, who won his semifinal, blew an engine, but they've got it cleared off the track. Everything's good. And look at Brandon Robinson. After that last attack by Brad Baker, Robinson has dropped the hammer and has opened up about as big a margin as we've seen. Over a second right now. 1 lap to go. Robinson over Baker. Brian Smith still a solid third. Jake Johnson trying everything he can to steal that last step of the box. Good stuff.
Half a lap away from his first AMA Grand National Flat Track victory, coming off of turn 4.
Whoa.
Nice little wheelie.
Beautiful.
Brandon Robinson, well-deserved victory. Second place to Baker, and a podium for Brian Smith, who hasn't really been close to a podium here since we've come to this new racetrack. Coolbeth coming around in the 5th position. The 5 of Jake Johnson finishing 4th.
Just not quite able to get the job done. And actually, Mikey Rush in that last lap, Chris, snuck by Coolbeth and picked up 5th. So pretty impressive run for 2 guys coming from the 3rd row. Here is your look at your unofficial top 10 results. We talked about Robinson, Baker, Smith on the box, Jake Johnson and Mikey Rush. That was impressive stuff. Coolbeth fading just a little bit. Weidman, winner last year, Jethro Halbert, Pearson, and Jeff Carver, who was top qualifier last night in round 1, back in 10th. There's a bit of celebration. We'll come back to the flat track. Don't go anywhere. I want to remind you to check out and subscribe to our Moto Racing mobile alerts. Get the latest Supercross race results and breaking news sent right to your phone. Text Moto to Speed 3 for Speed Motorcycle Racing text alerts right now. And speaking of right now, it is time for us to get down to Victory Circle where Greg White has our winner.
Our winner, first time ever at this level. Unbelievable. Congratulations, Brandon. Tell me about it.
Thank you very much. You know, I didn't get the greatest of start, but I kind of, kept it smooth in the first turn and just rolled underneath the guys. And me and Kenny started going at it there the first couple laps, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to take him over or not. He kept on getting the outside on me, and I finally secured the lead, and I just put my head down from there, and never looked back and just tried to stay as smooth as possible, and it all paid off.
You won Daytona. How do you feel?
It's amazing. I don't even believe it yet, to be honest.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, and he said it. Tried to be smooth for the rest of the race, and he was smooth personified. So we have another look at the top 10. And top of the box, that's what it's all about. Brad Baker, Brian Smith. For Mikey Rush, after the great run he had last night, to fight back like this, huge implications in terms of the points as the rest of the season starts to unfold. We're not done yet. We're going to step away one last time. When we come back, we got highlights from the J&P Cycles Pro Singles Final. Stay with us here at the Flat Track.
I had nothing to do with that.
Okay. Speed's coverage of AMA Grand National Flat Track from Daytona has been brought to you by Progressive Insurance, #1 in motorcycle insurance. And by Yamaha. Yamaha is the first name in motorsports. And as things have wrapped up in the experts division, we want to take you back and show you some highlights from some great action in J&P Cycles the Pro Singles division. Let's take a look at last night, round 1. And there's the lineup, and look at that guy on the inside, Kyle Johnson on that Kawasaki. It was going to be his night.
It was going to be his night. Good start. Gets it going up the inside. Jason Eisenach on a 30. Comes up the inside as well. Mike Poe chases. Then Vanderker, our defending champion, goes down, brings out a red flag.
And once again, the 77 of Johnson. Did he do it again? Yes, he did. Got a great launch, but it was Poe who got a great drive, picked him up, moved to the front briefly.
Vanderker goes down again, but we stay green this time. And the 77J from New York, Kyle Johnson, capitalized on a mistake from the 83 of Poe, and on to victory he goes.
Jason Eisenach, yeah, Jason Eisenach getting around Poe as well, picks up second, Poe third. And that was what happened in round 1, race 1 of this doubleheader weekend. Good run there by Johnson. Now, here's a look at what happened earlier this evening. Down to the inside, the 94B of Ryan Wells had the inside, but it was Jake Constantine getting a great launch. And that number 1, Vanderker, started at the very back, dumped it on the warm-up lap, but he wasn't done.
Yeah, for a guy with a number 1 on the plate, he hit the ground a lot, but he sure made up for it with his finish of 5th tonight, coming from the 3rd row. But there was no catch in the 59B of Jake Constantine from New York. Good job for him.
He had it dialed. Wells second. Mike Poe, the only guy to podium both nights. And that comeback drive for Vanderker, huge implications on the championship. So it has been a fraught, fun, and awesome couple of nights of flat track racing here to open up the championship season. Bit of a break before the next round. Coming up next is Speed Center. Chris Carr, it's been a pleasure working with you, my friend. And, of course, Greg White, thanks for all your hard work down the inside. Great work by the camera crews and everybody in the truck tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, and it's been a special night indeed. None more so for this guy. Take care, everybody.